All right, book of the day time, Contagious by Jonah Berger. So, what makes videos go viral and what makes ideas and like products and services popular and catch on? Because if you're doing any sort of like marketing or like trying to launch a business or something, word of mouth is always the most effective kind of advertising and marketing you can do, but how do you actually get people to like share your product or share your idea to their friends and their family and spread that word of mouth? And in this book, the author basically says there's 6 principles that apply to any sort of message or product that goes viral and sort of gets that extended word of mouth. And it's basically social currency, emotion, triggers, public, practical value, and stories. So they're the 6 things he says basically contribute to making something go viral. And social currency, basically he's saying that people want to share things that make them look good. So he gives an example in the book of this bar in New York where they didn't do any advertising, like didn't pay for any ads, and they didn't even have like a real entrance to their bar, like on a street. It was almost like this secret like place. You had to like go behind like a bookshelf or whatever, and they were basically packed every single night, like booked out, like more people than they could handle. And the reason was because the fact that they were so like hard to find and it was kind of like this cool secret spot, it made people want to tell their friends about it and sort of share that, because it made those people feel like they were like, if they knew about that bar, they were like almost like an insider, and they were actually like made themselves look good by telling their friends about it. So that's sort of how it was able to take off, like even though they didn't do any like advertising at all, it sort of became a big hit. The second thing is emotion. So basically, people share things that evoke high arousal emotions. So, and they can be positive or negative. So whether it's awe or like excitement or anger, if something evokes those emotions in people, they're more likely to share it. And the reason is because sharing emotions like that sort of helps strengthen connections and like deepen relationships with other people. And sharing in those emotions makes the whole experience better. So an example of that is like, if you think about that airline in America where, I think it was United Airlines, where they like dragged someone off the plane or whatever and someone filmed it. Like that evokes so much anger in people, and that sort of was the reason why it went so viral, because people were so outraged and had so much anger they wanted to share it with all their friends. So evoking that high arousal emotion makes it more likely for people to share. And he talks about triggers as well. So when he talks about like social currency, that's sort of what gets people talking about an idea or a product. But a trigger is something that keeps people talking about it. So he gives an example of the chocolate bar Kit Kat. So they were sort of down on sales and they were trying to like boost up their sales, and they came up with this ad campaign where they basically said Kit Kat and coffee. So they were basically trying to use like a coffee as like a trigger for a Kit Kat as well. So that when people went for a coffee break, they'd sort of have that trigger in their mind of they'll get a Kit Kat as well. And it was actually really successful in like boosting sales, because people actually did start taking like coffee and Kit Kat breaks. So because if you don't have triggers, then people will talk about it initially, but then it fades away. So you need to have that consistent trigger to keep consumers reminded of your product or your idea. Next thing he talks about is public. So basically making the private public. And he gives the example of Movember. So men's health, which is something traditionally like hasn't been talked about. Like people don't talk about men's health. It's sort of very private. But Movember is something that took that private thing and made it public. So people started growing moustaches in November, and it sort of brought the issue forward and got people talking about it, because it was taking what was traditionally private and no one talked about and sort of put it into the public sphere. And he's also talking about practical values. So people are naturally like, they want to help people, so they want to share things that actually provide like practical value to other people. So whether that's like information on like some big sale that's coming up, or whether it's just like a lot of these like how-to videos where it's like how to do something, like a life hack for a quick way to fold t-shirts or whatever that one was a while ago. Like that went viral because it has practical value. So people want to share it because they want to help their friends and their family with something interesting or something useful. And the last point he makes is stories. So people don't think in terms of information, they think in terms of narratives. So it's why like so many people are disengaged with, say, school or university, because they end up just being lectured about facts and figures, and there's no like story behind what's going on. So that the story almost has to be like the Trojan horse, where you want people to remember like information, so whether that's like your product or your idea, but it has to be sort of wrapped up in a story. So the story is almost like the vessel which transmits the information, because people never think about or remember information. They always remember stories. So yeah, interesting book, because I always find interesting studying these sort of things where, because sometimes you wonder like, why is this particular product like taken off and done so well when others have failed, and it's interesting to see like someone break it down. And if you're doing any sort of like marketing, or you're trying to sell any product or launch a business or something, if you want to get people talking about your product or your idea, or like you could be doing like charity work or something, you want to get people talking about that. If you can incorporate like some of these principles into your message, then that's going to help, and a lot more people are going to sort of share your idea and help you out in that way. So yeah, hope you find that interesting. Definitely recommend the book. If you read it and you find it interesting as well, let me know. And hope that helps. Please subscribe to this channel. I'll keep making more videos, and I'll talk to you soon.